Throughout history, civilizations have told tales of beings that prey on the innocent in the dead of night. Shadows that slither between the cracks of reality, whispering in the wind, lurking just beyond the reach of firelight. In the vast, moonlit deserts of ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, one such entity was feared above all. Her name was Lilitu, a creature of darkness, a force of untamed chaos. She was known by many names: a night demon, a wind spirit, a seductress who ensnared the souls of men, and a merciless devourer of infants. To those who believed, she was not just a myth, but a presence, an unseen terror that could strike at any moment. Was she a mere legend, an embodiment of primal fear? Or was she something far more horrifying, lurking in the spaces between the seen and the unseen? The ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, and Babylonians recorded their fears in clay, inscribing Lilitu's name again and again on cuneiform tablets. She was described as a restless spirit of the wind, an entity that could not be tamed or bound by the laws of gods or men. The priests and scribes who etched these warnings did not treat her as fiction. To them, she was an omen of death, a harbinger of nightmares, a force that could slip through the cracks of existence, moving unseen in the night. She was said to strike without warning, leaving behind only silence and sorrow. Those who encountered her rarely lived to tell their tale, and those who did spoke only in whispers, their voices trembling with fear. But who was Lilitu truly? Was she once divine, cast down for defying the gods? Was she born from the void, a primal force that had existed before civilization itself? Or was she something else entirely, an entity that fed on the very essence of life, drawn to suffering and despair? Ancient Mesopotamian texts offer fragmented glimpses of her nature, yet one truth remains unchanged. The ancients feared her deeply, and that fear endured for millennia. Even today, echoes of her legend remain, woven into the fabric of folklore, whispered in the dark by those who still wonder. Does she still walk among us? The origins of Lilitu can be traced back over 4,000 years to the Sumerian civilization, one of the world's first great societies. In the arid lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where humanity first built cities and recorded its fears in cuneiform, the name Lilitu emerged. Closely tied to the word lil, meaning wind, air, or spirit, she was not merely a ghostly apparition, but an embodiment of the chaotic, untamed forces that lurked in the unseen world. Unlike protective deities and benevolent spirits, Lilitu was an outcast, a being that roamed the earth without a master, slipping between the boundaries of the human and the divine. She was feared not only for her predatory nature, but for her ability to move with the wind, silent, swift, and unstoppable. Ancient Mesopotamians believed that the night winds carried malevolent forces, and Lilitu was among the most dreaded of them. She was often depicted as a solitary, wandering spirit, moving through the darkness, striking without warning. Her presence was blamed for sudden infant deaths, miscarriages, and even unexplained sicknesses that befell men who spent their nights alone. Unlike many demons or supernatural beings, Lilitu was not bound to a specific location. She was a creature of the air, uncontainable, able to drift through open windows or ride on desert storms. This made her all the more terrifying, for no walls, no locked doors, no prayers could keep her away once she set her sights on a victim. Descriptions of Lilitu varied across different Mesopotamian cultures, but certain features remained constant. She was often portrayed as a tall, winged woman with taloned feet, wild, unkempt hair, and glowing, piercing eyes that could drive men to madness. Some texts suggest that she had an inhuman shriek, a sound that could paralyze those who heard. Others depicted her as an eerie seductress, using her beauty to lure men into her grasp before draining their life force. Where Lilitu flew, misfortune followed. Crops withered, children perished in their cradles, and men lost their sanity. To the people of Mesopotamia, she was not just a spirit of the wind, but a harbinger of ruin, an eternal wanderer with no master and no mercy. In Babylonian and Assyrian texts, Lilitu was not just a demon of the wind. She was a predator of the innocent, a terror that lurked in the darkness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Her presence was said to be silent, unseen yet inescapable, slipping through open windows like a phantom, moving through the night with cold, deliberate intent. Unlike mere spirits that haunted graveyards or desolate ruins, Lilitu walked among the living, drawn to the warmth of homes, to the laughter of newborns, and to the vulnerability of the weak. It was said that she could sense a child's breath, and where she set her sights, no cradle was safe. Mothers in ancient Mesopotamia feared her above all else. They whispered that Lilitu hovered at the edges of nurseries, her taloned fingers curling in anticipation, watching as infants slept soundly in their swaddling cloths. With a mere breath, she could extinguish life, draining a baby of its vitality before vanishing into the cold night. Her hunger for children was insatiable, and no plea or offering could satisfy her wrath. To ward her off, desperate parents placed protective charms near their newborns, small amulets inscribed with prayers to the gods, meant to serve as a barrier against Lilitu's deadly embrace. Some believed that hanging an image of the demon-slaying gods such as Pazuzu near the child's crib could keep her at bay. Others whispered incantations, hoping that their devotion would be enough to hold back the shadow that lurked beyond their doors. But Lilitu was not only a thief of infants, she was also a strangler of men, a creature who lured wandering souls into her grasp. She did not appear as a twisted monster or a grotesque beast, but as something far more dangerous, a breathtakingly beautiful woman, her dark eyes glimmering with an unnatural allure. Travelers, merchants, and warriors who journeyed alone through the deserts and forests at night risked encountering her. She would emerge from the shadows, whispering their names, her voice like the wind itself, promising pleasures beyond their wildest dreams. Those who succumbed to her temptation would never wake again. Lilitu would drain their energy, leaving behind only lifeless husks, cold and empty beneath the moonlight. It was said that the more she fed, the stronger she became, her beauty growing, more radiant with each soul she claimed. To the ancient Mesopotamians, Lilitu was more than a demon. She was a force of nature, an unstoppable predator whose hunger knew no bounds. Whether as a child snatcher or a deadly seductress, she was a being of the night, the wind, and the abyss, feared by all who knew her name. As centuries passed, the legend of Lilitu evolved, adapting to the beliefs and fears of different cultures. What began as a Mesopotamian wind demon slowly transformed into something even more sinister and complex. Over time, Lilitu's identity merged with that of Lamashtu, another terrifying figure in ancient mythology. Unlike Lilitu, who was seen as a seductive spirit of the wind, Lamashtu was a monstrous goddess, a daughter of the sky god Anu, feared for her insatiable hunger for children. She was often depicted as a terrifying hybrid creature, with the head of a lioness, the talons of an eagle, and the body of a woman, stalking pregnant women and newborns alike. The boundaries between the two figures blurred, and as Mesopotamian myths spread, Lilitu and Lamashtu became intertwined, cementing Lilitu's role as the ultimate child-stealing demon. Lilitu's legend did not die with the fall of Babylon and Assyria. Instead, it found new life in Hebrew folklore, where she re-emerged under the name Lilith, carrying with her the remnants of her ancient malevolent nature. In these later myths, she was no longer just a wind demon or a bringer of nightmares. She was the first wife of Adam, a woman who refused to be controlled. According to rabbinic tradition, Lilith was created from the same earth as Adam, making her his equal. But when Adam demanded that she submit to him, she defied him and fled Eden, choosing exile in the shadows rather than a life of servitude. Alone in the wilderness, she transformed into a creature of the night, aligning herself with demons and birthing a legion of dark offspring. This rebellious nature solidified her as a symbol of defiance, female independence, and forbidden power, something both feared and condemned in patriarchal societies. But Lilitu-a's influence did not stop there. As myth spread across cultures, she was woven into Arabic and medieval European folklore, her form evolving with each retelling. In Islamic legends, she was linked to jinn, supernatural beings known for their ability to shapeshift and prey on humans. In medieval Europe, she became the succubus, a demonic seductress who drained the life force of men through erotic dreams and midnight encounters. She was the whisper in the dark, the shadow that slipped through open windows, the unseen force that haunted the edges of human existence. Over thousands of years, her legend endured, not just as a cautionary tale, but as an archetype, a timeless embodiment of fear, temptation, and the unknown. But why did her story persist for so long? Perhaps because Lilitu was never just a demon. She was a reflection of humanity's deepest anxieties. The fear of death, the dread of the unknown, and the terror of something beautiful yet deadly lurking in the night. The legend of Lilitu is more than just an ancient ghost story. It is a reflection of humanity's deepest fears. Since the dawn of civilization, people have sought to explain the unseen dangers lurking in the darkness, the mysteries of death, and the fragility of life. The night was a time of vulnerability, when the world was silent, and the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blurred. In a time before science, when infant mortality was high and the causes of disease were unknown, Lilitu embodied the terror of losing a child without reason, a supernatural force that could not be reasoned with or stopped. Parents whispered prayers, hung charms above cradles, and clutched their infants close, hoping to ward off the unseen demon who might slip into their homes while they slept. But Lilitu was feared not just for stealing children. She was also a force of untamed feminine power, something that both fascinated and terrified ancient societies. Unlike mortal women, who were expected to be submissive, nurturing, and bound by societal roles, Lilitu refused to be controlled. She was wild, independent, and dangerous. She did not obey the gods, nor did she submit to men. Instead, she existed, outside the boundaries of civilization, luring men away from their homes and draining them of life. In this way, Lilitu became a symbol of the ultimate femme fatale, a seductress who wielded her sexuality as a weapon. In patriarchal cultures where women were expected to be subservient, Lilitu's existence served as both a warning and a condemnation, a story used to reinforce the fear of female autonomy. Yet, despite the efforts to demonize her, Lilitu's legend has never truly died. She has persisted through millennia, evolving with each retelling, reshaping herself to fit new cultural fears. Even in modern times, echoes of Lilitu can be found in the myths of vampires, succubi, and dark temptresses, who haunt the dreams of men. She has become a staple in horror literature, occult traditions, and feminist interpretations of mythology. Some see her as a monster, a creature of nightmares that still prowls the shadows, waiting for her next victim. Others view her as a misunderstood figure, a symbol of feminine power and resistance, wrongly vilified by history. But whether one sees her as a demon or an icon, one thing remains certain: her legend is eternal. Even now, when the wind howls through the night, when the darkness shifts just beyond the corner of your vision, one might wonder, is Lilitu still out there, still watching, still searching for her next victim? For thousands of years, Lilitu's name has been whispered in fear, her presence lingering in the shadows of history. She is more than just a forgotten demon of an ancient civilization. She is an entity that has shape-shifted through time, adapting to the fears of every generation. Whether she is the wind that rattles the windows at night, the nightmare that leaves you breathless in the dark, or the unseen presence just beyond your vision, her legend endures. Perhaps she is nothing more than a myth, a product of ancient anxieties and superstitions long past. Or perhaps the ancients knew something we do not, that some spirits, especially those cast out and cursed, never truly fade. They wait, watching from the unseen corners of existence, lingering in the places where fear thrives. The old tablets may have crumbled, and the prayers once spoken in trembling voices may have been forgotten, but legends like Lilitu do not die so easily. So tonight, when the wind howls through the cracks in your walls and the darkness feels a little heavier than usual, ask yourself, is it just the wind, or is something else out there, something ancient, something hungry?
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.